How many cars have you had? One thing I find interesting about people is their, what we would call, car journey. I've had quite a few cars, and I've gotten them from quite a few different places. And it's always interesting for me to hear how many cars people have had at what point in their life, or how they came across this car, how long they had this car, what type of car it was, and all that good stuff. So I'm 32 now. I got my first car when I was 18 years old, which is probably not uncommon. And another thing that's probably not uncommon, it was a gift from my mom. Mind you, we were nowhere near rich. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but she had a lot of friends. And she got me a 1996 Ford Taurus for about $1,500 on a payment plan from a friend of hers. Now this Taurus was black. It had leather seats and a 6 CD disc changer. I don't exactly remember how many miles it had on it when I got it. Probably about 100,000 something. It was a 96. I got it in 2008. So it was already, over 10 years old. I love this car. It's probably going to be the only Ford I ever own unless I buy a Mustang. And even if I did that, that would be like a project car. This Ford Taurus, I got this when I knew nothing about cars. And I kind of still don't. I don't remember ever changing the oil on that bad boy. I don't remember how long I had it, but I know that I put it through the ringer. Bunch of flats. Thought I broke it one time because the transmission fluid was empty and I had to change the starter. I took that bad boy from Texas all the way to Arizona and back. The leather seats were dope. That thing drove like a boat. I just loved that car. Maybe I love it so much because it was my first car. If I had it again, I'd probably be like, oh, well, this sucks. But it was a dope car, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said, I put it through the ringer, rode it till the wheels fell off. I don't remember how long I had it. It could have been a year, could have been 2. That car eventually broke down on me like Fords do. We ended up having to change the motor mounts a couple times. And then after that, I really don't know what happened. But what happened next was once again a gift. I was gifted my mom's 2000 Honda Accord Special Edition. Had a wing on the back. Didn't have a CD player, which I thought was pretty weird for a special edition. It was maroon. It was, once again, a super nice car. And if I knew any better, I'd still have that car. When I was a kid, like I said, my mom bought it brand new with like 8 miles on it. When I was a kid, I accidentally knocked off the right side mirror, so it still never got replaced. The paint on the hood was fading. There was a big dent in the side where she had been hit. And then just over the, I probably had that car 2 or 3 years. And once again, I dogged it out. Changed out the radio, messed that up. Engine lights on, brake lights on. Because I didn't know any better, because I'm an idiot. It was a great car and it served me well. I thoroughly enjoyed that car. And we had it, and I think when we sold it, it had 230,000 miles. And I should never have gotten rid of it. Because this Honda was giving us a whole lot of problems, I was looking for a new vehicle. I just had my second son. I needed a new vehicle. So I met this guy who worked at a restaurant next to the restaurant I was working at, and him and his brother sold cars. Turns out there was some shysters. Anyway, it was a 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee, leather seats, neat CD player, big screen. Was there a screen? There was no screen. There was no screen, but it had a CD player. The system was nice, had a bunch of space. The inside was like a 2-tone color. It was a black car, a black Jeep. And man, I fell in love immediately. So I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I had that Honda. This guy sold cars. So I ended up giving this dude the Honda and like another $1,600 for this Jeep. Now I was in heaven. I was in hog heaven with this Jeep for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, the ABS light comes on. Every now and then the Jeep would just jerk. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then we had, some days it just wouldn't start. The lights wouldn't come on. We had all kinds of issues with this Jeep, like all kinds of issues with this Jeep. So finally, we had enough of the issues with this Jeep. I had words with the guy that sold it to me, and his only excuse were, people fuck me over, so I do it to them. He's lucky I ain't even. Anyway, moving on. We got rid of the Jeep, and we took that money and we put it down at a dealership. Yes. A dealership, a janky dealership, right in the middle of the hood. We got a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer. Once again, this vehicle wasn't perfect, but it stuck with us. We put like $1,200 down or something, $400 a month, and we had it for 4 or 5 years, paid that bad boy off. It had 2-tone inside, it had a CD player, but it came with its issues. On the third day I had it, had to change the starter. We ended up getting in like a collision with a pole, messed up the front end of it. Suspension was all jacked up. But like I said, we had this car for 4 or 5 years, paid it off, and had it like another 2 years after that. Loved that Trailblazer. It saw us through thick and thin. And, you know, eventually I had to get rid of it. I sold that Trailblazer for about 600 bucks. The guy that I sold it to did nothing to it and turned around and sold it for 1,200 bucks. He made the money. Once again, I was gifted something. I was gifted my stepfather's 2005 Buick Century. My stepfather was a sprinkler man. I don't remember when he got this car, but I remember he loved it. And once again, it drove like a boat. I enjoyed this car, but he just beat it all to hell. Inside was tore up from working outside, you know, dirt and all the crap that, you know, old men do to their vehicles. And ever since I got it, it was a little weird when I was, you know, changing the gears from reverse to drive to park to whatever. I had this car for about 3 or 4 months. And what happened? Transmission went out. The transmission went out. For about a month, I had to borrow my brother's car, and I had to go make a drastic decision. I was making a decent amount of money. My credit had just crashed on me, but I didn't know that at the time. I was making okay money, so I went to a real dealership. I went to a Honda dealership, and I was looking for a deal. So I'm up and down this Honda dealership. They're trying to sell me a brand new car, right? I can't buy no brand new car. Here we are in, I don't know, what year was it? 2019? 2017, something like that? I don't know. It was right around that time. We're in, they actually had another lot of cars that all weren't in the system yet. They were like just purchased cars or whatever. So we went over to that parking lot, and there I saw it. 2016 Toyota Corolla. Had 12,000 written on the door, like whatever marker they use. And I was like, hey man, what's up with this car? He didn't know anything about it. Like I said, it wasn't even in their system yet, but I knew I wanted it. I drove it. It was nice. Only had 40,000 miles. I was like, man, let's do it. So this is when I found out my credit had gone to shit because I had missed a few credit card payments. Those credit card payments hit you hard when you miss them. I ended up putting like $1,600 down on this car. The payment was like $320 a month. My interest rate was 20%. 20%, guys. I would make a payment and like $40 would go to the principal. The interest was just eating my ass up. But I love this car. I had that car for 14 months. 14 months. In 14 months, I made a bunch of good decisions and I got my credit score going up. Just messing around, I went to the Toyota dealership. Started talking to this dealer about cars, and I found a car that I like. I had to get away from this 20%. And once again, I'm stupid and I didn't know much about refinancing at the time. I loved that car, but I also didn't like how small it was. My upgrade wasn't too much bigger. What did I do? I upgraded, traded in that car, took about $4,000 of negative equity over, and I bought a 2020 brand new Toyota CHR. Black, big screen in it. I mean, it was brand new, you know what I mean? It was just a great car, and it was kind of like a hatchback type thing. What's my interest rate? 10%. My credit journey's going good here, guys. I went from no credit, 20% down to 10%. Payments roughly the same. It's actually taking more of the interest away. I'm doing all right. About 15 months after that, riding this CHR, loving it. I'm working about 30 miles away from my house, so I'm driving 60 miles a day for work, just loading this car up with miles. Boom, the pandemic hits, right? Whew, the pandemic. Microchips are out. Used cars are skyrocketing. I left my job. I was about to start a new job. What do jobs mean? What do you need when you buy a car for a lot of times? You need employment history. So before I left that job, I went to the dealership to buy a truck. Don't do what I'm doing, guys, okay? Because you're never going to have a paid off car. I go get a 2021 white Dodge Ram Classic 1500. Honestly, it was kind of a downgrade considering it was a work truck. I lost a lot of amenities, but I had a truck. Some would say it wasn't a truck because it was a V6 and it was only 2-wheel drive. The reason that truck was good was because of the pandemic. They paid off that whole CHR. I walked into that truck. I just put a trade in. I walked into that truck with positive equity. Don't happen too often. Once again, this truck was cool. I enjoyed having a truck. Driving a truck is very different from driving these little bitty, you know, inline fours and these small, you know, little sedans or whatever. Fast forward 6 months. Only 6 months. My girlfriend's looking for a car. We go to the dealership that my boy works at, where I got the truck. They're running her credit for this van. She needs a little bit of help. So I'm like, all right, I'm a co-sign. I co-sign. They run my credit. Once again, my credit is legit. I forgot to tell you, 6 months into having a CHR, I refinanced and I got it. I went from 10 down to 5% APR. Okay. I learned my lesson and now I'm saving even more money. I get the truck and it goes up to about 7%. Co-sign on my girl's van. Okay. She was looking at double digits in the APR. It brought her down to about 7% because I was a co-signer. That's great. That's what you got to do for the people you love. While we're going through the process of her buying this van, mind you, my friend works at this dealership. I go there all the time to talk to my buddy, look at new cars, whatever it may be. I've met some of his co-workers. His manager, who works in the finance side, the credit side, walks to me, shakes my hand and says, I can get you in that 2022 Lone Star Ram 1500, 0 down, 0 APR. Now I'm hooked, y'all. Now I'm hooked. I'm like, what? I'm going to get a package? A Lone Star package? So I said, let's do it. Only 6 months of having that white truck, and I went and got a brand new truck. So this truck was a 2022. It was a Lone Star. It had the amenities. It got the big dashboard. It got the big screen, dark blue. It's beautiful. And it has a Hemi. It got some Hemi, y'all. I scooped it up. 0 APR. Every time I make a payment, about 40 bucks goes to interest, and that's it. Everything going to the principal. What happened, though? In only 6 months of having that white truck, it depreciated about $10,000. So I'm eating $10,000 of negative equity on this new truck. Whew. The things we do to be stupid. The things we do to keep up with the Joneses, I guess they say. But my girl got a new van. I got a new truck that I'm going to be stuck with for the next 10 years. So, yeah. So how many cars is that? I had the Taurus, the Honda, the Jeep, the Trailblazer, the Buick, the Corolla, the CHR, the Ram, and the Ram. So I've had 9 cars. If you want to count the van as half mine, that's 10. But I've had 9 cars. I'm 32. I think that's not bad because I know a bunch of people who don't wreck 9 cars. How many cars have you guys had? Go ahead and drop it down in the comments. I'd love to know what was your favorite car? Have you ever wrecked one of those cars? And was your credit journey similar to mine? Because remember, I started off with 20% credit, 20% APR, and I came all the way down to 0. It's great. It's crazy, but now my credit sucks again. Like I said, I'm going to be stuck with this truck. But all right, guys, that's it from me. Thank you for your time. Hit that like and subscribe if you like videos like this, and I'll catch you next time.